If you want to learn how to build a base in Clash of Clans, this video is just right for you. I will guide you through the whole process of building a base from scratch. I'll show you what you need to look out for, as well as common setups, and of course how to effectively place your traps. So let's start right off, and this time we're on Town Hall 9. We've already covered Town Hall 16 as well as Town Hall 10, but this time we're looking at Town Hall 9. And this time also we are going to make an asymmetrical base because it is a lot harder. On Town Hall 9 it's also very strong. So let's start right off with the core of the base, where we are going to have our Town Hall in a 9x9 compartment. Town Hall 9 base building, I would say it's relatively easy. There's not many mistakes which you can make. If you just build the core of your base, or just the setup of your base out of 9x9 compartments, so 9 walls in each and every direction, then you're good to go. That's the best setup you can do on Town Hall 9. So the Archer Queen cannot reach anything. For example, if the Air Sweeper would now be the Archer Queen, she cannot reach the Archer Tower from here. She cannot reach the Archer Tower from here. So that's exactly why we have these 9x9 compartments in Town Hall 9. And they are incredibly strong. And let's just make another one out of it. So another 9x9 compartment. Let's make another 9x9 compartment right here. That's already 9x9 compartment, because we can see the Archer Queen cannot reach the Expo from here, because it is 1 tile, 2 tiles, 3 tiles, 4 tiles from the wall. So from the wall, it's 4 tiles in between the wall as well as the Expo. So that means the Archer Queen cannot reach it. If the Expo were to be placed here, then the Archer Queen would be able to reach it. But now that the Expo is right here, she is unable to do so. But even though we could, we of course do not want to make our base from only 9x9 compartment. So let's jump right to the second type of compartment, which is very common on Town Hall 9, and that is the 9x5 compartment. So 9 walls in one direction, 5 walls in another direction, and that is to mainly place 2 buildings into there. And now you can see the Air Sweeper. If the Air Sweeper was once again the Archer Queen cannot reach the Archer Tower, also making one of these compartments incredibly strong. So let's now make one more 9x9 compartment, and now it's already looking very strong. We can make it a little more funky and replace a very long compartment. Don't know exactly what the name of this compartment is or how long this exact wall line here is, but also very strong, because now the Archer Queen cannot reach the Town Hall anymore from this compartment. And also, if they were to put like an air defense or an Expo right here, then the Archer Queen can still not reach it, also making this very strong. So let's do the exact same thing on this side, and now we can continue making a larger compartment. Also a compartment I love using, because now from each and every corner, okay, I need to make it one smaller. Now from each and every side, the Expo is not reachable. So let's take a look. The laboratory is now the Archer Queen. Archer Queen cannot reach the Expo from here, nor from here, nor from here, nor from here. So that's making this compartment also very strong. I'll take this Expo with me. We first want to finish building the base, and then we will take a look, okay, where are we going to place our buildings to make this base as effective as possible. I don't like placing buildings directly in the beginning of building a base. At least not on Town Hall 9. On Town Hall 16, on Town Hall 10, you have so many key defenses which you have to place in certain compartments, and you have to build certain compartments around certain key defenses. On Town Hall 9, it's completely different. You can just build the layout of the base first, and then you can decide, okay, where do I want to place my buildings? So let's just continue building. We'll make another 9x9 compartment. Is this right, or is it a 9x10? It's a 9x10, we do not want that. Also a very common compartment type on Town Hall 10. The 9x10 or also the 10x10 compartment, because they have a very strong thing to them. And that is, you can't open them up with an earthquake. So this compartment, if you were to drop the earthquake exactly in the center, every single wall line would be open, or well, every single wall would be open. Whereas if you would make the compartment one bigger, so a square from 10 times 10, now you cannot open up the whole compartment with earthquakes. The big problem is it's not as easy. So using 10 times 10 compartment, it's way harder than using 9 times 9 compartment. So therefore, for the beginning, please stick to anything around the 9 times 9 compartment. So that's also what we'll be covering in this video. But once you get a little more experience, once you want to try out new stuff, just try to implement a few 10 times 10 compartments or 10 times 5 compartments, and then you should be good to go. That opens up a complete new world for you. Just believe me. But at the beginning, just stick to your 9 times 5 compartments and you should be good to go. So once again, another 9 times 5 compartment. And now we make another of those larger compartments. Now we have 20 walls left. And what are we going to do with those 20 walls? We can maybe place one more 9 times 5 compartment here. And now we have 9 walls left, which we can maybe use for a so-called moat. So a moat is an outside wall to make certain things unreachable. So if I now were to place an air defense right here and place the moat roughly here or so, now the Arctic Queen cannot reach the air defense from outside this wall. So if you were to do a queen walk around the outside of the base, you can maybe funnel the Arctic Queen around this compartment, so the Arctic Queen won't be targeting the air defense, so she would walk around this compartment, for example. So we are now the Arctic Queen, the air sweepers, the Arctic Queen will walk, then she will walk around the wall, and if she has healers behind them, those healers are going to get picked off by the air defense, making also using rest over walls with a moat very, very useful. The other use case of leftover walls is for anti-Hawk Rider spring traps. Anti-Hawk Rider spring traps are also very, very common on both Tunnel 9 as well as Tunnel 8, as well as of course Tunnel 7, because Hawk Riders are very, very strong troops here. So therefore you can also use leftover walls for something like this. If the builder hut was now a Hawk Rider, the Hawk Rider would go to the Wizard Tower, and then from the Wizard Tower of course to the Expo. Hawk Riders do not like jumping over walls. They will walk around the wall. And if we now have a spring trap here, that would make for a perfect spring trap. So this spring trap will always get 3 Hawk Riders instead of maybe just 1 or 2 or even 0. But if you were to have, if we don't have those walls right here and we place a spring trap right here, then maybe the Hawk Riders would split. Some walk around some walk over the spring trap, some walk in the middle tile, some walk over this tile. And the Hawk Riders walking over these 2 tiles are of course not going to stand on top of the spring trap. Only the ones splitting off and going over the spring trap will be sprung away. But if you put some walls there, then of course you can force every single Hawk Rider to go over the spring trap, to walk over the spring trap, and then of course you will always target as many Hawk Riders as possible with your spring trap. But for this video, I'm not going to use a moat. I think 9 walls is not enough to make a cool moat, so therefore we are going to use them as anti-Hawk Rider walls. So let's take a look at how we're going to implement those. Or maybe I can even make another compartment right here. And then we have 2 left, which we can of course also use for, well, one case of having an anti-Hawk Rider spring trap. Small reminder in between, of course, if you want to buy any in-game items, like for example the gold pass or any of those event medals, then make sure that you are using a creator code. To support this channel, it would be code RHBB. That would of course be much appreciated, but let's not waste any more time and let's continue with the video. So now we have our main setup of the base done, we have our layout of the base done, and now we're going to focus on placing our key defenses. So the first things which we would be starting with are air defenses and expos. We'll start off with the expos, of course. And I think I already have an idea where I want them to be. The one expo I always like to place in the core, because an expo in the core is always incredibly annoying. And to make it maybe a little bit more annoying, we're going to place our town hall right here instead of there. And we are going to place a fast attack archer tower directly next to it. Many people on Town Hall 9 underestimate the fast attack archer tower. The fast attack archer tower, if used correctly, it's probably, well, after the Archer Queen, after the defensive Archer Queen, it's probably the best defense on Town Hall 9 which you can have. Many people don't think so, but a fast attack Archer Tower, if it is shooting onto your main force of troops, it is completely devastating. And now we want to make, now we want to use storages to make it very hard for troops to path into the core of the base. We want, for example, Hawk Riders, we want loons from a lava loon to path around the expo as well as the fast attack archer tower. So we are going to use storages for that. For example, place a few storages like here, or maybe we switch it around a bit. No, I think this is okay. We have storages right here. We place the clan castle in the core as well, because the clan castle also counts as a storage. And then we place one more storage and maybe one more storage right here. And now you can fill everything up with defenses, and then it will be very hard for your troops to path from here towards the expo, because they will always go around these storages. And the expo will constantly be firing onto your main force of the main force of the attack, and that is of course not what you want as an attacker, but as a defender it makes it very nice for you. But now the question is, where are we going to place our second expo? And I think I'm going to place it just right here. I'm deciding if I place it right here or right here, but probably right here. I'll place it right here. And now also, if you do an attack strategy, for example here, you have your Hawk Riders right here, then also the expo is constantly firing onto those troops, and that's of course not exactly what you want. And now let's take a look at the air defenses. Probably the air defenses, I want them to be roughly in this spot of the base, so I have a very nice anti-loon setup on this, I would say 2 to 12 to 10 o'clock section. So this section here, we have a very nice so-called no-fly zone. So we want to make a no-fly zone where it's not very easy to tank your lava loon troops with your lava hounds. So we will use all of our air defenses roughly in this part of the base. We always want to set them in the middle of the base, so they are not, as I said, walkable from the outside. So the Archer Queen cannot reach the air defense from here, cannot reach it from here, nor from here. She cannot reach any archer tower from the outside of the base. And that's exactly what you want to have. And now probably I am going to place my Archer Queen. Where am I going to place my Archer Queen? A great question. It's a very good question. Probably something like here. But then the problem is, if someone sends in a kill squad from this exact angle. But it's a problem if someone sends in a hero dive from this exact angle. They could get an air defense, the Archer Queen, as well as the fast attack Archer Tower, as well as the clan castle. And that's of course not exactly what I want. But of course, if they were to come in from this side of the base, then the problem is of course they still have 4 air defenses, or well, 3 defenses against them. But I do think I am going to place my Archer Queen right here, so I can bait out a little hero dive from the Archer Queen as well as the Expo, as well as the Clan Castle Lure. That's of course a very, very solid hero dive, but on the end, in the back end, you still have 4 air defenses, you still have the Town Hall, which you cannot reach very, very easily. So that makes it very, very ugly to make this setup work, or well, to make that attacking setup work. So let's take a look at how we're now going to finish the rest of the base. Now the next thing I'm going to probably do is place my air sweepers. With the air sweepers, you just want to always cover as much as possible. That's the main thing, you want to cover as much as possible. And the big thing is you don't want to offer a lot of lightning spell value. So if I put my air sweeper like here, we can zap out, we can use lightning spells to take out an air defense together with an air sweeper. That's of course not what we want. We want to not offer any great value. And now I believe we can also lightning out the air sweeper with this air defense, exactly. So we're going to put our air defense right here. Still makes it that we have a very, very nice no-fly zone on the top of the base, but now we cannot use lightning spells to take out one air sweeper as well as an air defense, because that's of course not exactly what we want. But now the question is, where are we going to put our second air sweeper? And I think it would be very, very funny to put it something like here, pointing in that direction. So we have the air sweeper pointing towards the right side, so anyone doing the hero dive from the top corner to take out the Archer Queen as well as the Expo, they will be forced to go into an air sweeper, or they would have to go with the backhand Town Hall, which is of course not exactly what you want. And if they were to maybe do an hero dive for here 3 air defenses, then they have to go from this side into the Archer Queen to take out the Archer Queen as quickly as possible. And then you still have 1 air sweeper pointing against you. And that's once again not exactly what you want. So I do think this setup for the air defenses, for the air sweepers, for the Expos, I think this is now very, very gnarly for Lava Loon. Now we need to protect our queen a little bit, so we put a bomb tower next to it. So if someone were to put down skeleton spells to take out the Archer Queen, then of course we have 1 bomb tower next to it. You will see that on, I would say, almost every single Town Hall 9 base, because it is just so incredibly strong. Now, what are we going to do with our Barbarian King? I'm deciding a little bit between putting it next to the Archer Queen, or maybe have it a little far away from the Archer Queen. I think maybe even having the Barbarian King right here can be very, very disgusting for an attacker. Now I place 1 more storage right here, so we can have the troops path around the Town Hall, and of course path around the core where we want them to be. So we can have a lot of traps already in the core. We can put 3 red air bombs on Town Hall 9 is enough to take out loons. You want to take out loons, you need a minimum of 3 air bombs. So that's exactly what we have in the core. You're not able to trigger them with lava hounds, or well, very, very hard. And if your loons fly on over the core of the base, then it will be taken out relatively quickly by all of those red air bombs. And now let's continue with our wizard towers. Wizard towers, we want to have a minimum of 2 in this, I would say, no-fly zone setup of the base. The wizard towers are very, very strong against Lava Loon, and also of course against Hawk Riders and other kinds of attack strategies. But wizard towers on Town Hall 9, they are of course a very strong defense, way stronger than on Town Hall 9, than on Town Hall 10, Town Hall 11, of course the higher Town Hall levels. One of the wizard towers you always want to use to protect some air defenses, because if some attacker would be strong, and we of course only have an archer tower right here, they can drop 2 skeleton spells in each and every air defense to easily take it out with 2 spell slots. That's not what you want. If you put a wizard tower next to it, then of course that problem has been fixed. It has always been an unwritten rule to not have air defenses. I mean, to not have wizard towers next to air defenses. You always want to have them a little bit away from air defenses, but this rule doesn't apply anymore. You want to have at least 1 or 2 wizard towers next to your air defenses to protect them from skeleton spells. Or just to protect the middle of the base from skeleton spell value, because skeleton spells in Town Hall 9, even though they are only level 1, they are still incredibly strong. So that's exactly why we're also going to use our second wizard tower in the middle of the base next to another air defense. And now this wizard tower can also do a lot of work against Lava Loon. Now for the point defenses, so the archer tower as well as the cannons, there's only one main thing which you need to watch out for. You don't want to have a lot of key defenses reachable from the outside by wizards. The wizards, together with golems, are incredibly strong on Town Hall 9. So that's exactly why you want to have most of your key defenses 2 tiles away from the wall. So from the wall you have 2 tiles in between and then your cannon, for example. So a wizard cannot reach the cannon from here nor from here, making it very strong against wizards. So we do the exact same thing right here as well. But the problem is, on the rest of the base we don't really have the possibility to make a lot of our defenses not reachable from the outside. So we have a total of 4 unwalkable point defenses, which is, I would say, it's the bare minimum. It's not much. You always want to have like 5 to 6 unwalkable defenses from the outside by wizards. But I think 4 is the bare minimum. It's surely not much, but it's at least the bare minimum. And for the rest of the defenses, we can just place them without much thinking process. The only thing which we have to watch out for is that you cannot directly target any of the air defenses. You always want to have 1 key defense in between your air defense. So if I were to, for example, have nothing here, then you can instantly drop some loons onto the air defense, which is not what you want. You want to have at least 1 defense, if not 2 defenses in between the air defense. That's exactly what you want. Elsewise, it is very vulnerable to Lava Loon. Now the big problem is the archer towers. You of course most of the times need them to cover outside buildings. So for example, if I were now to place any gold mines here, you can easily take those out with a minion. Therefore, I probably need to have an archer tower right here. The question is now, where do I take an archer tower from? Don't think it's possible, so I have to live with the fact that you can get some very nice value with minions on the bottom side. But I think it's not the end of the world, probably. And of course I can maybe put 2 gold storages here so I can bait a Tesla farm being there. And that of course can also put the attacker on the wrong foot. Let's place 1 more gold storage right here just to protect it a little bit, as well as 1 gold storage right here just to also protect this compartment a little bit and stall troops like a little bit more. Because storages on Town Hall 9, they are very good at stalling troops. And that's exactly what you want them to use for. Therefore also you have a lot in the core, because they are just completely stalling dragons. They are stalling dragons for such a long time. So attacking this base with dragons on Town Hall 9, it will be not a pleasant experience. But basically, we are already almost done with our base. We just need to place a few of our normal trash buildings. We'll place an exit collector right here, and maybe like an exit collector also right here. And then we already have our base filled up. Now the mortars we are going to use to kite any golems. So what are the angles where people would maybe put golems that would maybe be from the bottom side? So if someone were to go in with a golem from, for example, the left side, the golem would walk around towards this mortar and then hopefully target a wall where the attacker does not want the golem to be to tank his main force. Now, of course, we also need to have one golem right here just to kite those troops around the middle of the base. So the Hawk Rider, for example, would path from cannon to mortar to archer tower to air defense and so on and so on. But on Town Hall 9, I'm surely not an expert when it comes to pathing. There are a lot of very, very good base builders out there which are really good at using buildings to path Hawk Riders as well as loons around. There's also a trick where you can perfectly place your key defenses, your point defenses, to path your loons around air defenses, so air defenses are getting completely ignored by your loons. But that's a skill I haven't learned yet, and it's also a skill probably many of your new builders out there will need a lot of time to learn. So in the beginning, I would say it's not very important where you place your key defenses, as long as you, like with your archer towers, you want to cover as much as of the outside trash buildings as possible, and with your cannons you want to make sure that most of them are not reachable from the outside by wizards. That's the main things which you have to watch out for when it comes to trash buildings. The rest you will probably learn by the time. So you will try out new things, and by trying out new things you can of course develop your own style, and with your own style then it can be really, really annoying to attack your base if you have a really nice own base style. But to get there, of course, you first have to build a lot of standard bases. The standard bases, like for example this one, with a very, very straightforward setup. And basically this base looks like any other Town Hall 9 base you've seen in your life. Even though I've now built it from completely from scratch, it looks like every other Town Hall 9 base out there. So let's now place our last mortar. And we want to place our last mortar right here. So it's a little bit more annoying if you were to put a golem down, for example, here. He will walk to the mortar and not directly target this wall, so you can use a wall break to open up this connecting layer. And now when it comes to trash buildings, also there's only one main thing you have to watch out for when it comes to placing your trash buildings, and that is your army camps. Your army camps are the only important trash building in Town Hall 9. Well, of course, also other trash buildings are important, but army camps can make, of course, a huge difference on Town Hall 9 when it comes to pathing. You always want to place your army camp where you think a hero dive would come in. So that would be, for example, this side of the base, then this side of the base, and maybe also right here, as well as maybe right here. You maybe place it one more tile outside, and then we would place our next army camp right here. So the good thing is with army camps, it has such a giant hitbox, so it's very, very annoying to funnel it away. Well, it's very easy to funnel it away, and then maybe the outside of the outside buildings have not been funneled away yet, so your troops don't go into the base but rather walk outside. That's the main good thing about army camps, and that's why you always want to have army camps wherever you think people are going to approach your base. And for the rest of the trash defense, for the rest of the trash buildings, we are not going to put much thinking process into it. The main big thing is we wanted to have we want them to be 2 tiles away from every single wall. So we can cover a lot of the base with our trash defenses, and that's exactly what we want. So we want to cover as much base with as little as possible. And of course, we do not want to have we do not want our mortars to be trash buildings. We want to make it a little hard to take those mortars out. So therefore, we always need to have a certain amount of trash defenses in front of our mortars, so that you cannot take them out as easily. Now we'll maybe put a barracks right here. On Tunnel 9, placing trash buildings is relatively easy. You don't have to watch out, okay, where do I place a gold mine, where do you place a barrack, because there are no sneaky goblins. There are no sneaky goblins. Every single trash building has the same purpose. It will most likely either be taken out by a wizard or a baby dragon. Of course, wizard and baby dragons don't really decide on which exact building they are going to target. And now we're already struggling with one problem. I am missing a few buildings which I need to use to cover the right hand side. So what are we going to do? We are going to take this builder hut. Then we are going to probably move our trash ring a little bit towards this side. So we take away the gold mine, place it 3 tiles to the left, place it 3 tiles to the left, and place this one 3 tiles to the left. And now we're going to use a builder hut on 12 o'clock. And now we have this trash ring finished. And now we have the trash buildings to cover the right hand side. I'm not a huge fan of putting builder huts in corners. Yes, of course, in like 1% of the attacks you can maybe force at a 99% attack. But most of the times this will not be the case. So with that, we now have our base done. We have the king right here, we have the archer queen right here. So hawk riders are most likely coming in from the side, of course, where we do not have the archer queen nor the barbarian king. So that's exactly where we want our spring trap to be, and of course our spring traps to be. So we place one perfect spring trap right here. We place one spring trap in between of these two defenses, in between of these two defenses. The most likely people would be coming in from probably this compartment. They will try to wall break this open, or maybe put a jump spell right here, so they can easily take out the clan castle, the archer queen, as well as the barbarian king. Those are the 3 main objects which the attacker will take out in order to attack the rest of the base with hawk riders. So everything against hawk riders we of course want to have on the opposite side of the base. And the most annoying thing against hawk riders is most likely the Tesla farm. So I think I already found a spot where the Tesla farm can be incredibly annoying, and that would be exactly right here. Very annoying against hawk riders, very annoying against lava loon. And now we can of course also place a little bit of giant bombs in between here, and of course also a few spring traps. So we placed a little closer together, so we can place some spring traps in between there, as well as a skeleton trap. And now we have a very annoying setup against both hawk riders as well as lava loons. And we can maybe also put an air bomb right there to make it just a little bit more annoying. Now we have 2 more giant bombs as well as 1 more spring trap. 1 giant bomb we can put right here, and maybe 1 more giant bomb. What would be a good spot to place the last? This is now a great question. Where do I put the last giant bomb? Maybe against the witches. Maybe we take the last 2 giant bombs and place them against witches. Okay, where are people most likely going to come in with witches? And it is most likely going to be the bottom side. So people will probably send in their witches from this exact side, jump into the core, jump over the clan castle, and then they will open up the whole base. So we will place a giant bomb right here, together with 2 small bombs that are going to kill those that is going to take out those witches. And then on the other side, we are going to do the exact same thing. We have 2 small bombs as well as a giant bomb to take out witches, hopefully at least. We of course have to test it first if it's going to work and maybe readjust those traps. But it could be funny if it were to work. I'll place it one more tile behind. And now we should be good to go, right? Now we are maybe good to go. Yes, maybe also this one tile be further behind. Because if those witches were to target the gold stores, now they would be going down. If the witches were now going to target the cannon, they are also going down. Last spring trap, I am most likely just going to put into... put right here. Where would probably be the best way to put it? Maybe even right here, in between the cannon as well as the Tesla. Maybe some of the Hawk Riders will walk up the spring trap, but probably between the cannon as well as the air defense is the better option. Now we of course still have one skeleton trap, and I think this skeleton trap I'm also going to put into the Tesla farm just to be a little bit more annoying against Hawk Riders. And now the Seeking Air Mines are also very, very important on Town Hall 9 and also very easy to place, because you're just going to look, okay, which of the air defenses are least likely to go down in the first stage of the attack. So with the Archer Queen right here, people are most likely going to... That would be most likely be this air defense. This air defense would probably be one which you are not going to take out with your main force, as well as the air defense directly next to it. That's exactly where we are going to place our... So that's exactly where we are going to place our Seeking Air Mine. Because if I were an attacker, I would go in from the right hand side, use a wall break right here, so we put a small bomb next to it, take out those air defenses, take out the Town Hall, take out the Air Sweeper as well as the Clan Castle. Maybe even with a jump into the core, so we can take out the Expo as well as the Fast Attack Archer Tower and maybe even the Archer Queen. So our Lalo, we would put the first Lava Hound on top of this air defense and the second Lava Hound on top of this air defense. So that's exactly where we are going to put our Seeking Air Mines directly next to it. If we have two Seeking Air Mines directly next to an air defense, if a Lava Hound were to target an air defense, it would be going down in no time. Now we just have one more small bomb left, and of course the other very, very likely entry would be a wall break onto this exact wall I'm now targeting. So a small bomb to protect it, one away from the wall, so one tile in between the wall as well as the bomb. Most people place it either directly next to the wall or 2 tiles away from the wall. That's not where you want it to be because it won't trigger. If you place it right here, it won't trigger fast enough. And if you place it right here, then it also won't trigger fast enough and the wall breaker will walk past it. So this is exactly where you want to place it. Wall breaker walks over the bomb, triggers it, stand next to it to blow up the wall, and then the bomb would go off to take out those wall breakers. So that's exactly why we have it one tile away from the wall to take out any wall breaker targeting, for example, this wall right here, or now also any of these 3 walls. Any of the wall breakers targeting any of those walls will go down and will not make it to the wall. So if they don't bring in enough wall breakers, then your troops will of course not go into the base and walk around the base. That's exactly what you want. That's a very, very small neat base, and if your attacker makes a mistake, you can easily punish it. But with that, we have the base down. If you want to copy it, the base link is of course down in the description. If you want to try it out, if you want to test, okay, is this base really good? Does he know what he's talking about? Let me know down in the comments if you learned anything. I would of course really appreciate it if you could leave a like for this video. Also, if you want to see more of my content, like for example my live streams, my Twitch as well as my TikTok are linked above. With that, I would say see you guys soon with the next video. Until then, see ya and bye bye.